the extent that Donald Trump has a philosophy, and it's one that he's had for a long time, it has been a kind of instinctive feeling that the rest of the world is trying to rip the United States off, that the United States should not bear burdens, should not set agendas, should not lead the world really. It should just take care of itself. And it's exactly the wrong message for the world at this point. We're living in a time of enormous change, and a lot of people are looking for some sense of what is the direction forward. What is it that, what is the North Star that we can look to? Is it greater openness? Is it greater sense of international cooperation? Is it a greater sense of a search for growth, or is it human rights? Whatever it is, the United States has usually provided that leadership. And what Trump seems to be saying, as far as I can tell, is we're going to look after ourselves. You guys have taken advantage of us, and you're on your own. And you already see it in much of the rest of the world. So it's the Europeans, like Chancellor Merkel, saying, we have to worry about our own affairs, don't look to the United States. You're seeing it in places like Asia, where many Asian strongmen, from the Philippines to Thailand, if we look at the Middle East, to Erdogan and Turkey, are clamping down on democracy because they know that the United States, the one country that used to stand for these things, is kind of absent, is asleep at the job, or has gone AWOL. And so that feeling that the United States has gone AWOL on world leadership is already quite present. What Trump needs to do is to actually correct for that and say, no, we're here, we still care, here are the issues we care about, and whatever it is he wants to talk about, but lead. Instead, I have a fear that what we're going to see is a retreat, is a sense that we're going to look after ourselves and you guys should do the same.
Yeah, and listen, there's a lot of concern, not only here in America, but around the world, about a possible nuclear conflict. The president, as we understand, drafted the speech with input from his speechwriter Stephen Miller, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, of course, and the U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley. But CNN is learning that the president will specifically call out Iran and North Korea. What's your reaction?
Well, what I worry most about that is these are very provocative statements that the president has been making about both North Korea and Iran, and there does not seem to be any strategy to back it up. So the president has now gotten really bellicose and threatening about North Korea, and as far as we know, there's no strategy as to what to do about that. There is very little prospect of any kind of military option. It's not clear how you would pressure the Chinese. In fact, if anything, the president's rhetoric has alienated the Chinese, who are the one source of pressure for North Korea. With the Iranians, there seems to be a kind of gratuitous insulting of them, even though they are, by every international agency and by every other country's judgment, and by our own intelligence agency's judgment, they are abiding by the agreement. So again, what I fear is that what you have here is not an America First strategy, but an America Alone strategy. The United States is not building allies in any of these areas, it is just making these pronouncements. And as Trump makes these pronouncements, and as I fear is going to happen in many cases, they're not going to be backed up by anything, certainly in North Korea. Perhaps in Iran, he'll tear up the agreement, but of course the Iranians will continue to maintain the agreement with every other country in the world, so it's the United States that will be isolated. What you're going to witness is the United States again being isolated rather than Iran and North Korea being isolated.
Interesting. Hey, Fareed, I want to talk to you about this because this is another hot topic at the UN, no pun intended, at the UN, is going to be climate change. This United States is dealing with the aftermath of Harvey and Irma and Hurricane Maria, now Category 5. You got Jose out there as well. We're taking aim at the Caribbean. I want to play what astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson told you about climate change.
I worry that we might not be able to recover from this because all our greatest cities are on the oceans and water's edges, historically for commerce and transportation. And as storms kick in, as water levels rise, they're the first to go. And we don't have a system, we don't have a civilization with the capacity to pick up a city and move it inland 20 miles. This is happening faster than our ability to respond.
Interesting. He says it might be too late to recover at a time when there is a rift with allies over the president's decision to withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. There was some confusion this weekend over whether the president was reconsidering. What do you make of all that?
I think the president is not reconsidering. I think this is too important to his base. It's largely symbolic, as you know. It doesn't mean much. But I think that Neil deGrasse Tyson raises a very important point, which is we are probably past the point of simply having a strategy which is about stopping global warming. What we need now is a strategy to mitigate, to adapt to global warming, because it is happening. I think that we can all see that it's happening by the increased strength of these hurricanes, the increased fury of these forest fires, the increased temperature. 17 or 18 of the hottest years in the history, since we're in recorded history in the last 20. So what does that mean? We have got to have a serious conversation about do we need to start planning to build dikes in New York the way that they did in Holland? Do we need to start building fortifications in Miami? Do we need to start incentivizing people to in fact start moving inland? Do we need to start figuring out agricultural crop rotation? Do we need new patterns of irrigation? I think that climate change is so real at this point. It's not an academic debate, and unfortunately for those who just want to talk about stopping it, I think we're past that point. We've got to think about how we will adapt as a country and as a planet to the reality. There's all that carbon dioxide in the air already. No matter what, we're not driving Priuses tomorrow. That stuff isn't coming down.
Thank you, sir. When we come back, big developments in the Russia investigation, what it all means for a White House in chaos, plus extremely dangerous Hurricane Maria slamming the Caribbean tonight. We'll go live to the storm zone.